Hello, friends. James Stevenson back with another edition of James's Gems of the Week. Maybe you've been off Twitter for the past week, the same as Elon Musk has, and you're wondering, what did I miss? There was still a lot going on for me to see and read and like last week. I can get you caught up on the tweets that were good enough that they earned the James Stevenson seal of approval, the Twitter like. So I am joined this week again by my co-host, Loki here. Loki the Chihuahua is going to help me get you up to speed on what you missed on Twitter over the past week. So I'm going to share my second screen here and bring up a browser, that I've made big enough that you ought to be able to read it. Let me make this big, like so. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So if you just go to my profile and you go to my likes, and you scroll on down, you can find all the tweets that I have liked over the past week, and I'll just go through them real quick and explain to you why they earned the seal of approval from me, James Stevenson. All right, so these are the last couple of tweets that we saw last week, talking about how this is a pretty great Twitter account for you to follow. If you're not following them already. Somebody with less than 5,000 Twitter followers, unbelievably. And I mentioned that Riku's house in Finland is somehow on track to actually pay for the solar panels on the roof. So that was where we left off last week. And the next tweet that I liked on June 25th was from Hallmar's catalog. So loving the Uber Comfort electric option for just a little bit more. You can travel only by Tesla or other premium EV. What's this about? I sent out a tweet the day Uber announced this. They have a category you can select when you ask for a ride called Comfort Electric. And your odds are pretty good that you're going to get a Tesla if you select this category, because there aren't very many other vehicles that are widely driven by Uber drivers who fit that category. Here's another tweet from Hallmar's catalog that I liked. He said, "No gas cars in my life, baby. I only travel by Tesla. Feels like a preview of what the Tesla network will be like. It's great." So I like that. Riku, on that same topic I touched on briefly, said it's the quality of the followers that counts, which I liked. So Elon himself was not tweeting or liking or replying to things on Twitter over the past week, but an audio-only interview with him was conducted and tweeted out this week by Jonna Kreider. So I like this tweet. Very special episode of Getting Stoned coming out soon. Thank you, Elon Musk, for inviting me down to Giga Texas and allowing me to interview you. It was an honor meeting you. The value of goodness should be obviously favored over the perception of it. So that was a good quote. And if you haven't heard this podcast, it is available now. At least the first part of it is already. Then the next tweet that I liked comes from Unplugged Performance at Unplugged Tesla. Our car's windshield fogged from the inside to the point Randy couldn't see. He beat everyone in combined sector 1+2 up to that point. He couldn't resolve the windshield fog and it ended our chances. So why would I like that tweet? So this was in response to a tweet about the 3 Teslas that posted times at last weekend's Pikes Peak International Hill Climb race. So 1 day per year, a very motley assortment of race cars brave the challenge of driving up to the top of Pikes Peak in Colorado. And 3 of them were Teslas this year, and these are their times. A shame that Randy Popst made it through the first 2 sections of that race course with the best time overall, and then for the second half of the race, he couldn't see because his windshield was fogged over despite having the defrost running. So I replied to that with a couple of interviews post-race from Blake Fuller, who drove the other Tesla Model S Plaid, as well as from Randy Post, who was just heartbroken that he has to wait another year to break the record, possibly. Let's hope for better weather next year and better visibility. All right, I like this tweet from Noah Murphy at Noah657279999 on Twitter, who tweeted that Elon Musk passed 100 million Twitter followers. So I like that tweet. Tesla Lion at Tesla_Lion tweeted add to CV, and I liked that. I was one of 2 people who liked this tweet. In reply to, oh, my new tweet mug came in. So I took this photo and tweeted it of the mug right here at this same set where I am. You can see that's one of the 2 coffee mugs on the shelf behind me. Maybe what I'll do is stop sharing my second screen long enough to get out of the frame here a little bit so you can see those 2 mugs back there with the autofocus, along with my Tesla umbrella and my, let's see, my Cyber Whistle, of course, my Elon, thanks Elon plate, and my Tesla tequila bottle gifted to me by Bradford Ferguson. So I will go back to sharing again and then get rid of this photo. So yeah, this is definitely a quote that someone could put on their resume or their CV, as some call a resume. Muir Thaker sent out a tweet that said, I drove my old Prius autonomously to the grocery store earlier today. As far as I know, it doesn't have any LiDAR tech, just used my brain and eyes. Seemed to work out great. So this was in reply to me. I'll very quickly update you on this thread. So Holmar's catalog began this original post. If LiDAR is all that's needed to solve autonomy, why is it that companies taking the spatial approach largely haven't been able to open to the public? The obvious answer is that there's something missing besides LiDAR. That something is breakthrough software. So Gary Black replied, I don't know anyone advocating LiDAR only, which is kind of the straw man that was presented in this first tweet. Many advocate a platform of sensors, especially as the market segments into consumer ADAS and commercial ADAS, autonomous driver assistance software. So Holmars replied, of course, you can't drive with LiDAR only, but there's more to the problem than just knowing the distance to objects. This is true. Gary replied, I think everyone knows that if you can combine vision LiDAR and high-res radar to create a hardware platform that is safer than vision only or LiDAR only, why wouldn't you? So to illustrate the flaw in this line of argument, I replied, there's nothing stopping you from adding LiDAR and radar sensors to your car with displays on your dashboard, you know, to help you manually drive it safer than you can using vision only, which is exactly what Gary was claiming in this previous tweet. Why don't you? Upside down emoji. To indicate, I'm not seriously saying that he should put whatever a LiDAR readout would be on his dashboard. I'm just trying to point out more information is not needed. So Gary replied, come on, be real. Why is Tesla now contemplating adding back high-res radar to its hardware platform? I would not concede this point. I would instead counter that we don't know what the patent that Tesla was awarded for high-res radar is intended to do. We don't know whether that's for passenger vehicles to have exterior sensors to aid full self-driving. There's lots of other stuff Tesla could use high-res radar for, right? It's funny that many are now talking about segmenting the ADAS market into consumer and commercial segments. When I first floated the idea a year ago, I was told to stick to finance. And I replied, I am being real. I illustrated my point with an example. Radar and LiDAR are superfluous once vision plus real world AI are solved well. This is my point. You don't need more instrumentation after the vehicle already understands its physical surroundings environment, and the software on board tells it how to safely navigate that environment. You could put a microphone and a barometer and a rangefinder on the car, and none of that would do anything more for you if you have already solved full self-driving using just vision plus neural nets, right? So that was the context in which I like this tweet from New York. We will, oh, and then there was this reply from Dutchy Wiegans. I'm gonna stab at that last name. And that tech is 200,000 years old. Yes, it is. Brains and eyes are 200,000-year-old tech, not even exclusive to human beings. Yeah, thankfully, we don't rotate our head. You don't have to spin your head like LiDAR has to spin to range find everything. All right, so next tweet that I liked was from Automotive News. Toyota is the latest automaker to collaborate with battery recycling company Redwood Materials as it works to provide a more sustainable battery supply chain for its EV push. So if you don't recognize the gentleman pictured here, this is J.B. Straubel, co-founder of Tesla, along with Elon Musk and 3 other gentlemen. And I was one of 3 people who liked this tweet from Automotive News, which has 229,000 followers. I don't really understand that. Yeah, Toyota mainly makes hybrids. They don't make a lot of battery electric vehicles, but there's still a need to recycle those batteries at the end of their useful lives. So glad they're partnering with JB's company there. I like to tweet from Kimball Musk. It says, "Happy birthday, bro. Thank you for 50 years of laughs and love. And look at this photo. My goodness." So pretty sure this is Elon and this is Kimball. You can't really tell it's Kimball without the cowboy hat on, but I think that's what's going on there. Then the Musk family resemblance is real strong. All right, Dave Lee tweeted, "It's my investment manager's birthday today. I've been thrilled with his performance over the past 10 years of managing my assets. Happy birthday, Elon Musk," which I thought was a cool tweet. So I like that. And there were some other happy birthday wishes. Here's one from Eva Fox at Eva Fox U with some nice birthday wishes on here, and a mosaic of Elon Musk, which you will not be able to see in any great detail on this video. But which Lisa G. Punkt at Ludel Liesel replied that she zoomed in and found me at I cannot underscore enough. There I am. That's my smiling mug there, and elsewhere in the photo right here on Elon's cheek. So I like that tweet from Lisa, and the original one from Eva. Another tweet I liked from Dave Lee: "Just finished a fun chat with James Dalma, where we discussed Tesla FSD. How large is Tesla's FSD lead?" And a few other notes on that conversation. I watched this video and liked it and figured I would like that tweet as well. If you haven't seen the videos with Dave and James Dalma talking about FSD beta, hardware and software and neural nets and everything, those are good high quality videos to watch and educate yourself on how that stuff works. So Sawyer Merritt tweeted, "Breaking, Tesla has officially delivered its first Model Y long-range vehicles built at Giga Texas." So Austin is delivering new Model Ys already, and here's some photos of them. "Customers are reporting the build quality is perfect and there were no issues that needed to be corrected." So I like that. Next is a tweet from James Catt at Tesla Fan MTL. "I'm actually right at consensus this quarter, which quite frankly has me questioning my numbers because usually they beat consensus, LOL. 260K would be in line, I guess, but I wonder what the whisper number is." So he's retweeting Gary Black here, who had the full table of data from Tesla investor relations on what the, not just the second quarter numbers are, but there's a bunch of other columns on here for other years. And he drew a distinction between the 20 analysts who responded that they adjusted for China COVID lockdown in their estimates versus the other 5 nitwits who did not update their forecast after the Shanghai lockdowns were announced. So the other 5 dummies averaged 307,000 as their estimate because they were wrong. They were based off old information prior to that factory getting shut down by the government for several weeks and then running at limited capacity in May, part of June. So I like that. And the tweet from Gary. And I like this tweet from Troy. Troy also retweeted Gary Black saying Tesla's company compiled consensus is 256,700 deliveries in Q2. Now, as of the time of recording, like less than 3 hours ago, Tesla released the actuals and it was like 254,700 or something. So, you know, the within 1% of what the consensus estimate was among the analysts who actually adjusted it for the Shanghai lockdowns. And Troy said he's going to post his final estimate on the 30th of June. I think he was also very close to this number. And somebody said we're doomed. And Troy said the consensus being low is a good thing. And it is. I'm glad they brought the consensus estimate down close to where the actuals came in. That's better when the news reports the variance versus the expectation, right? And I'd like to tweet here from James Catt, who said it's a good whisper. What was a good whisper? Oh, I replied and said, I whispered 264,617 8 weeks ago. So if you want your information early, get it from me. Maybe not deadly accurate, but not way off either. All right, I like this tweet from Phil Baxter at Phil_Baxter1, who just tweeted out this graphic here of the Tesla shorts crew. They sold low and bought high, and they didn't do it quietly, is the tagline for this shorts poster here, starring David Einhorn, Jim Chanos, Gordon Johnson, and unfortunately, Mark B. Spiegel. And there's some other fun stuff in here if you read the fine print. And Mark B. Spiegel here is wearing the I'm with stupid t-shirt with the arrow pointing up at his head. So what was the context of this? Oh, so this was coming from a tweet that began with Fly for Dat, longtime Tesla hater and short seller, tweeting, I haven't ever had a bigger Tesla short position via very aggressive puts. I'm not nearly short enough. Hashtag Tesla Q. And he's retweeting Zero Hedge, saying Tesla lays off hundreds of autopilot employees in California. Well, I think Fly for Dat has the wrong read on this news. So he's thinking the company is going bankrupt and trying to lay off the San Mateo human labeler positions because there's no cash left and they can't afford to pay them. Well, that would be one take on it. Another take on this would be that the auto labeling software is now so good that it's beating the human labelers most of the time and has made those jobs for humans redundant. They are no longer needed because they can't do a better job than the software is doing at this point because the software has gotten so good. So I replied to that, same energy, graphic courtesy Jay Hall. And I will link to this because it's too small to read here, but I'll put that link in the video description so you'll be able to read about that. Then as a reminder, Tesla Q has been shorting Tesla since below $200 pre-split. I'm always amazed to see how many members of the Shorty Since 40 Club are still around. They should have t-shirts. And then I said, stims is a mental illness, Tesla Q is a religion. Note the 176.99 on this graphic, which you can pause if you want to read all of. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on that, is the same 176.99 where Tesla was trading when all of these tweets were sent out about people who had never been more short and have their biggest position ever at the bottom. So if you shorted Tesla here, you could have lost upwards of 20 times your money by the time Tesla made it to its all-time high. All right, I'm going to go back and keep going very quickly through these. John Ehrlichman sent out a tweet. Tesla went public this day 12 years ago. Elon Musk was asked if investors were taking a leap of faith. His response, the smartest money in the world is betting on Tesla. They must have a reason for doing so. The stock has risen 14,508% since. So thought that was a good tweet. Simon101 sent the tweet, not just Troy, but also Tesla fan MTL, I cannot underscore enough, at JPR007, and a bunch of others. So he was replying to this tweet from Dylan Loomis. Can we agree that for as long as Troy Teslake is doing what he does, the Bloomberg and FactSet consensus estimates for Tesla deliveries are mostly irrelevant? The Tesla community is special. So I like that reply. Gary Black sent a tweet that I liked. This one says, automated 10b5-1 plan, trading window is closed until earnings. Now, what the heck does that mean and why would I like it? He's replying to serious callers only at Ethics Gradient's tweet. Drew, meaning Drew Baglino, the head of Tesla production, sold 3,500 shares at $748 a couple of days ago. And what Gary means here is this was in association with a pre-established plan to sell stock. So the Securities and Exchange Commission says if you're an insider, if you have information that has not been released to the public yet that would be material to an investor in the company, you're not allowed to just buy and sell stock whenever you want, because that would give you an unfair advantage versus retail investors. So what you need to do is agree to a plan to sell stock ahead of time. So over a year ago, maybe, Drew agreed to a plan that he was going to sell those 3,500 shares on June 28th or whatever, regardless where the stock was trading, in part of a 10b5-1 plan. And the only option you have after establishing one of those plans is to let it ride and execute according to the plan's terms or cancel the plan. Famously, J.B. Straubel, who we mentioned earlier, sold some of his Tesla stock near the lows of late May, early June 2019, some of the lowest prices at which Tesla has sold in the past 5 years. So that was also part of a 10b5-1 plan. He didn't know when he set up that plan that the stock would be trading that low, but he had to let it go anyway, or else cancel the plan. All right, I like this tweet from Inside EVs. See Tesla Semi delivering pre-assembled superchargers at Laguna Seca. Laguna Seca Raceway, you may be familiar with from video games like Gran Turismo, where you can race through the corkscrew and the rest of the famous turns of Laguna Seca, where Randy Popst, who I mentioned earlier, holds many of the records. So they have superchargers now, so you can take your Tesla down to that race course. If you're like former Tesla bull Greg Wester, maybe you take your Tesla Model 3 Performance to Laguna Seca and race it sometimes. Now there's superchargers there where you can recharge quickly and get right back on to the course again. So I like that. Here's a tweet from Alex A. Voigt saying he spotted an ID Buzz in the wild today. Good to have a small BEV bus finally, but in my opinion, the looks are not impressive nor a head turner. But the vehicle is, with a base price of $67,000, quite expensive. So later in the thread, commenters observed that this may be a different Volkswagen model and not an ID Buzz. But I still found it an appropriate place to drop one of my favorite old tweets from May 11th, 2019 with the caption, almost as though German EV designers are somehow self-sabotaging. And the tweet in question, I set the scene as Mercedes-Benz headquarters with the CEO saying, "I want a new EV design on my desk by 4 p.m. And the designer saying, "Sir, that's impossible." The CEO replies, "And I want it to look exactly like this," passing a helmet. The designer says, "But who would buy a car that looks like a bicycle helmet?" The CEO says, "Who indeed?" Followed by villainous laughter. And that's the end of the scene. So if I follow this through, you can see what I'm replying to here is a James Hatfield tweet from May 11, 2019. Look at these. They could not look more like bicycle helmets if they were trying to. So that's that. Next on my liked tweets, we go here. So the limiting factor, part 1. Oh, this is the limiting factors teardown video of the 4680 cells. So this is a good video if you haven't seen this yet. G. Filchi is Galileo Russell, was able to get his hands on a 4680 cell and gave it to Jordan Giesge's team, Ying Shirley Meng, and Coddington 503G1, who were able to, in safe laboratory conditions, tear down a 4680 cell and see what's inside and how it works and what the specs are and what it's made out of and all that fun stuff. So that video exists if you want to go check it out. I like to tweet here from Earl of Frunk Puppy, who said, "Wow, Elon is worse than I thought." I'm just going to link in the video description to this thread that Earl is replying to instead of trying to go through it all. It's long. Then I liked a series of tweets from Roger Rush about the car market in Switzerland. Now, this is a pretty thin slice of data. This is not a very large data set. It's just talking about Swiss sales of new vehicles over the past month and the past quarter on these charts. Tesla is running away with the market recently, which is what these charts show. The growth is coming from the battery electric vehicles, and the battery electric vehicle growth is coming from Tesla. So I liked a few of these charts. You can see this is the two of these green wedges combined are all battery electric vehicles, with 9.2% of the June 2022 sales in Switzerland being Tesla battery electric vehicles. Then this chart is the same chart except for the entire quarter, Q2 2022. Kind of sad to see so many diesel and gasoline vehicles still selling. That will decline with time. And also good to note that among the top 15 models sold in Switzerland in June 2022, the number 1 and number 2 sellers were both Teslas, Model 3 and Model Y. Now, a lot of vehicles got delivered in June because of the Shanghai lockdowns preventing them from arriving any sooner than that, which kind of inflates the June numbers a little bit compared to any other month this year. Then Alexei Voigt tweeted that in Norway, in the month of June, Tesla sales were the highest of any brand, over 8,000 Teslas. Again, for the same reason, the Shanghai lockdowns prevented these from getting there any sooner this quarter. But that's still up 27% over the prior year, which was a little over 6,000 vehicles sold. So good to see Tesla take the number 1 spot there. Alexandra sent a tweet saying, "Thank you, James. I appreciate that." And seeing so many people watch that long video again, very humbled, with a couple of links here to those videos that she made. I replied to Brian Griffo saying, "Gotta love news articles about what Elon Musk doesn't understand." Google News with a headline, "Elon Musk is smart, but he doesn't understand ESG, tech CEO says." So somebody on CNBC, some CEO thought that Elon doesn't understand ESG, and maybe what it is that he understands it better than they do. My comment here was many people think they have the gist of what ESG funds are about, but unless they've heard someone like Madame Alexandra S. explain what's really going on, their presumptions are almost certainly wrong. So there's some good videos there if you want to check those out. Mayor tweeted, "This is what we went through in 2018. Lesson by the deep drawdowns of companies experiencing long-term growth, and don't touch it. Ignore the noise." I'll just bring these up briefly and let you read those. These are some nice, well, this was a nice tweet that Mayor sent out in October of 2018. And this was kind of the nasty, typical response he got from a Tesla hater at the time. So you can pause that video there and read that comment, which I will not utter aloud. Then I like to tweet from Gary Chadwick that says, "It begs the question, how do the analysts that did not update their models in view of the Shanghai closure still have a job?" I like that tweet. So this is in response to me tweeting out today's news, Tesla Q2 2022 production and deliveries, in line with the company compiled consensus expectations from analysts who updated their forecasts to reflect the Shanghai lockdowns. So you can see those numbers here. I'll make that a little bigger if you want to pause this and read that. Trying to keep this video pretty short. I think that brings us to nearly, yes, that's the top of my likes, with a tweet from Walter McFain at Eco Healy Guy, a helicopter repair person, is what Walter does. "You may hear a narrative that Tesla missed on Q2 deliveries despite ramping 2 new factories, Shanghai shutdown and global supply chain logistics. But really, Tesla increased deliveries, 564,000 in the first half of 2022 compared to only 386,000 in the first half of 2021, year over year by 46.3% so far this year. Pretty remarkable, given those COVID lockdowns in Shanghai earlier this year, to see how much of an improvement 2022 is so far this year over 2021. So I like that. And you are now current on James's likes. So if you have liked this video, click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not subscribe to my channel? And I will see you in the next one.